Hey everyone, how's it going? Yeah, it's been a while since I've done a community address of any sort. I was out on a bike ride this evening, and for some reason, the moment kind of struck me. I've been meaning to do this for, like actually months now, to talk a little bit about why I've been gone, the state of the game, where things are going. I feel like I should talk a little bit about my situation first, and things that, sorry, I don't usually do this kind of stuff out in public. There's no one here right now, but whatever. I'm a little self-conscious. Yeah, so my situation is good. I don't want anyone to think that I'm not doing well or anything. I guess I'll just start sort of from the beginning, and we'll talk going forward. So the last update that was made to Starscape, if I remember correctly, was the April Fool's update, and there have been a few bug fixes since then, but for the most part, that was the last major update. And during all that, I was also in the middle of working on warp relays, police systems, patrols, all that sort of stuff. All that stuff is still coming. But I want to talk about what was going on during that point of development. So in late February, I got a LinkedIn message. Wow, that is a big sunburst in that corner of the screen. In late February, I got just a cold LinkedIn message out of nowhere from a recruiter for a company. And at this point, I had been doing the full-time Starscape for about a year and a half, enjoying it, but also realizing sort of how much stress it was putting on me for very little monetary gain, especially compared to, other jobs I could have. So I was contacted by a recruiter, and on a whim I decided, hey, why not? I decided to actually go ahead and talk to them. And so they set me up with some interviews, and the first few interviews were with a certain team that was not a great fit for me, and so I wasn't sure that I was going to go through with things. But then I got in touch with another team, and it was a fantastic fit. It was kind of everything I would have been looking for. And so during the month of March, I was interviewing with them, and spending a lot of time preparing for interviews, and also spending a lot of time planning my wedding and whatnot. So that took up a lot of time. I got the job offer in March, and I started working full-time in April. And so I'm not going to talk a lot about that job. I do want to say it's really great. I've been enjoying myself. It's given me some opportunity to travel a little bit. It's a very good fit for me. And it's difficult when you graduate from college. You have a little bit of time to try things out. And at least in my field, which is software, and that whole tech industry, you have a little bit of time to sort of get a feel for things. You don't have to settle into a job necessarily. You can work on your own things, work at startups. But there does come a point where you need to start taking into account, what is my career going to look like, 10 years from now. Especially with getting married, I started to think a lot about stability. If I am to start a family at some point, stability is very important. And anyway, I was just thinking about all this stuff, and so that's sort of what led to me going through with accepting this job offer. If you see me spazzing out, it's because there's a bee flying around. So anyway, initially I sort of expected, because originally when I was working on Starscape, I actually had a full-time job at GoDaddy. Some of you remember that saga. Again, GoDaddy was a great company, really liked my team. And back then, for whatever reason, I was able to put in a 40-hour work week at GoDaddy and then put in like another 40-hour work week on Starscape every week for like a year, for more than a year. It was like a year and a half. I don't know how I did it. So I was kind of expecting I would get into that groove, but I think in part I've been working pretty hard at my job. It's a really good group, and I want to do a good job and make them think that I'm a good employee and stuff like that, and a good coworker. So I've been putting in, some extra time. And then on top of that, for the first couple months, it was a lot of wedding planning. Just in all my free time, it was wedding planning. And also some travel related to work. So anyway, I got married in June, late June, and I went on my honeymoon in early July, and all that went very well. And then I got back, and since then, it's sort of been a process of saying, I'm going to get back to work on Starscape soon. And I still haven't. I've made a few small bug fixes, but for all intents and purposes, Starscape is more or less in the same place it was about 3 months ago. So that's a difficult thing to say. Really 4 months ago, actually, come to think of it. But it's true. This happens with a lot of development cycles. Games will have periods where they just not a lot is getting done, especially with indie game developers. But it's something that I've never had happen to me before. So it was new, and the part of the issue is that back in the day, I would really want to work on Starscape. I would get excited to do it. The end of the workday would be coming up, and I'd be very excited to fire up my desktop and start working on in Roblox Studio. And I was excited with every feature I implemented and moved very fast. Starscape has become a lot more. It was a bit of a chore for a while there, and when I think about it now, it still sort of is. And there are a lot of reasons for this. One of them is the code base has become so increasingly complex that adding new features is harder and harder. And this is something that happens in every company and for every game, is that as you start out going really quickly because you're highly motivated, and then on top of that, actually implementing, setting up frameworks is very easy, especially when there are no dependencies. And then you get to a point where every little thing you want to change, you have to change like 10 other things, and it gets tedious. So that's sort of where Starscape is. And I haven't wanted to work on it, which is really unfortunate. The state of the community hasn't been great either. I don't want to blame the community for anything, because, at the end of the day, it is my fault, that I don't want to work on Starscape. I can just ignore, negative feedback and stuff, and I can just work, that's on me. But it is definitely demotivating. Just getting a general sense the community is unhappy. And feeling like there are so many things that have to be done that it would take like months of grueling effort to get Starscape to a place where anyone would be even remotely happy with it. And I just feel like I don't have that kind of time. Over the past 4 years since I graduated college, I've lost a lot of my hobbies. I don't enjoy video games anymore, which is kind of sad. It's, working in game dev, people will say, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. But I really feel like that it couldn't be farther from the truth. If you're, I don't know, what sort of job could work? If you like working on an assembly line, or if you like doing a certain thing, like meditatively, or like some sort of artistic thing, and it's meditative for you, then I can see it happening. But the situation I'm in was essentially the situation of kind of like a startup. I mean, Starscape wasn't a startup, but it's always worrying about money, worrying about growth, worrying about numbers, and not being able to really enjoy the art of the of what you're working on. So, and I've lost a lot of my other hobbies. I used to. I just used to have more things that I enjoyed doing. I mean, I lost a lot of them just during college because college was so difficult and took up so much time. But, I've been trying to kind of get into those sorts of things a little more. I'm on a bike ride right now, and I've been designing a liquid-fueled rocket, among other things. I've been writing quite a bit lately, which has been really good. So. It's not like this is like a mental health thing. I'm not trying to be like that, but it is just like I started to feel like it was kind of sad that like the only things that I did were essentially work, and I don't want that to be like the rest of my life necessarily. Like I want to work a lot, I want to leave a legacy and stuff like that. But anyway, I'm waxing a little too philosophical here, so I'll wane back to some other topics. There's a mosquito like on my face on the screen, which is kind of creepy actually. Anyway, so that's sort of an explanation for why Starscape hasn't seen a lot of updates lately, and I've owed this explanation for months at this point. There was no reason I should have just not taken the time to say this, because this doesn't take too much effort. It's an hour out of my day or something to record this and post it, but for some reason every time I thought about doing it, I was just so struck with, I like froze up kind of. I was like, man, my mind just didn't want to even think about it. So so yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. However, there have been some developments. So obviously, we started this Patreon, and what an awful time to start a Patreon right before I disappear. We still fully intend, I haven't taken that money and run. That's still going to go into development. We haven't paid out yet to people because, stuff hasn't been getting done. But the rest of the dev team has been doing modeling work, doing conceptual work. Things are starting to pickle back up a little bit. Maybe not so much with me, but with others. And I don't think it's necessarily so bad to take a summer off, because summer is just a good time to be outside and do other stuff. When the bleak midwinter comes, we can really have our heads down and be working a little more. So, some of you have heard this already. One of the things I've been incredibly reluctant about my entire life, really ever since stuff happened with APOC. Some of you are aware that I didn't exactly choose to. We'll talk about that later. But anyway, ever since I worked on APOC, I've been very reluctant to bring other people on board, and especially giving people access to source code and stuff like that. I've been very, very hesitant. And this has caused me to not bring people on as programmers, and for me to essentially become a bottleneck in the development cycle of Starscape. So I am looking to change that, and sort of, this is at the request and encouragement of other members of the dev team, in order to unblock progress and allow things to get done even when I'm busy, because clearly we can't have this going on. If Starscape is to survive, I can't just have periods of time where I disappear for 4 months. Things need to still happen. So that being said, I'm looking to bring on 2 I guess, I don't know what you'd call it, junior programmers. I don't know. It's not like they're particularly young or anything, but they'll be junior programmers for a while while they're getting used to the code base and stuff. But Binary and Drez have volunteered to help with coding. I'm still in the process of getting them access to the code base, because there are certain things that actually Starscape's publishing cycle and the test servers and stuff like that, and just the way the assets all work together, make it a little difficult to have multiple people working on the code base. But I'm committed to making it work. That freaking mosquito is on the lens now. So yeah, Binary and Drez have volunteered, and I am going to be getting them ramped up on the coding side of things. So that'll be good. And I think they're a little more excited about all of it than I am. Hopefully they'll get some good experience, and okay, it's actually raining now, which literally never happens in the summer here, so this is kind of remarkable. I'm out on a bike ride. It'll probably be over in like a few minutes, but anyway. Let's see. What else can I talk about? Yeah, I know there have been some developments in the community lately that have been, some departures that have been kind of high profile. And I think it's okay. Like, I'm sad to see people go, but Starscape's community has been in a really weird phase, in a weird place for the past couple of years, honestly. And anyway, so yeah, there's some things to look forward to. I don't want to give a time frame on when any progress is going to come out. Even once Binary and Drez are being onboarded, they're both college students. They're going to be busy. I'm still going to be busy with my job and with other things that I've been working on. So I can't promise any sort of timelines. And in general, I just don't want to promise timelines going forward. Starscape is still in beta. Someday it'll leave beta. But, I don't see that happening particularly soon. And I think during beta, it's important for us to just have a lot of flexibility in what we work on and when we work on it, so that we don't lose motivation. So yeah, that's where we're at. I hope you all enjoyed this sort of impromptu little discussion. I wish I had better news. I wish I could tell you that I've been secretly working on a massive, planets update or something, but unfortunately that just isn't the case. So, that being said, with any luck, we'll all get a little more excited here in the next few weeks as I'm onboarding some new people into the code base, and we'll hopefully be making progress again soon, because Starscape has been 5 years of my life now or so. It's been part of my life at least, and that's longer than just about anything I've ever worked on before. So yeah, it probably is, which is pretty remarkable. Alright, that's all I've got for you today. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you all out there.